The media was the one cheering Cuomo on as
he's the greatest.
America's governor, and
That's right.
look at the job Cuomo was. They put him up on a pedestal. They hailed him
Hollywood.
as a hero, even though there was all kinds of evidence. We brought evidence in the middle of April. We brought out that
Hollywood
March
loved him.
25th directive that said he's forcing people in the nursing homes, and the media ignored it. All right, welcome to the Financial Guys podcast. Thank you so much again for joining us, listening. We certainly appreciate it. And this is growing like crazy. It's been over 2 years now. I mean, obviously the radio show has been 20-something years, but the podcast has been just over 2 years, and I feel like we're getting better at it. I feel like I'm saying less welcome back, and
Well, it's a radio show without some of the little logistical things like coming in and out of a break. But what's funny is doing radio, and there's so many people over the years that have said, "Oh, it's easy to do radio," and they'll say, "Okay, you host us," and they like freeze when you come in and out of breaks. It's like, but if you've done it for 20 years, it's not that big of a deal. But it is a different animal. So
the nice thing with the podcast, though, which I love, is that we started off.
We can be late.
Well, we can be late. We can be late, like this morning, right? We can be late.
Well, no, it's usually me. I'm usually like running in at the last minute. So.
Well, we're doing this on recording this on Tuesday mornings, right? So we getting kids off to school and stuff like that. But the nice thing with the podcast, we started off. We used to do breaks halfway through. We would take a break, come back, and reset. In the radio world, you've got 9 to 12 minute segments, right? That's what we're dealing with. Then you got to go to break. So the podcast, so we can really get wound up for a full half hour, no breaks, straight through. It's nice. It really is nice because you don't have to. Even the callers, I love callers.
We do a 2-3 hour show.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I love callers. I love having callers call in. I think it's a big part of the radio show, and I'm hoping that we can figure it out on the podcast at some point. I know we're working on that.
We need to sort of push that through. We talked about it, and then there's just so many other priorities, but it would be neat to be able to do it live.
At least every now and again, like at least once a month or something, because I do like not having the distractions, too, because as much as I love our callers, sometimes we're on a topic or you have the show laid out, and then you get a call that is a great call, but takes you in a whole other direction. Sometimes that changes the whole show.
I think, though, the time limits on radio is tough, right? Because you got a call and then a break and a call and a break. And it's, So we'll see. We'll definitely have that technology at some point. That's where it's going, though, right? They don't want to be able to tune in or be forced to tune in 1 to 3 on a Saturday. They want to be able to say, if I missed it, I'll just grab it. So I love it. It's good.
Exactly.
It's good. All good.
So I found a clip on maybe we'll play this clip because it's just hilarious. I found this clip on I guess it was on Twitter. I was just rolling through Twitter and somebody put this out there. I had kind of forgotten about this movie. Let's start off with something funny. I love this. I love this.
You know what's sad about it?
It's perfect.
It's perfect. It's perfect. He is totally incompetent, and it is unbelievable to watch this spoof thinking that's him. It absolutely is.
So I'm going to download this movie.
I don't know if you get the full
it.
effect, though, without watching.
No.
If you're watching on YouTube, it'll be hilarious. If you're listening to it, it's good, but not great.
This is from Hot Shots, the movie with who was the guy that was in 2.5 Men? Who was
Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen, yeah. And I forgot about this movie. It was long ago, I think in the 90s.
Charlie's had his drug problems. He's had his issues with hookers, everything else. But he's funny
hilarious.
dude. He is
hilarious.
a funny guy.
Yeah,
you know what's funny is a lot of the parts he's played, that's his life. 2.5 Men.
It's the truth.
That's his truth. That's the way he
that was him.
That was him.
That was him. Yeah, I didn't have to act very much in that one for sure.
Right.
Well, this is just an excerpt. We'll play the whole. We'll put the whole clip up on our YouTube video if you're listening on the podcast. But I'll just play a clip of this because it's hilarious.
Mr. President.
Oh, Jesus, don't you ever sneak up on me like that again. What is it, Bob?
If Edwards gets wind of this, he'll use it against you in the campaign. He'll try to prove that you're incompetent.
I can prove that as well as he can.
We've served together before, sir. There's no one better.
Cookie?
Not me, sir.
Young lady?
No, thank you.
No, I was just offering him a young lady. Gotcha! Listening at the door, huh? Well, Walters, looks like we've got our saboteur.
That's your wife, sir.
Huh? Yeah, so it is. Come in here. Yeah, you're looking as lovely as the day we met. I know what she knows. I look out there at all of you wonderful guys, and I say to myself, what I wouldn't give to be 20 years younger and a woman. The morale on this base is shot to hell. Just look out there. Quiet. Hardly a man moving. Roy? Roy! Huh? Prime Minister Tojo, Senator Edwards, my fellow Americans, and our millions of illegal aliens. It seems like only yesterday I was strafing so many of your homes. Here I am today begging you not to make such good cars.
How was the speech coming, sir?
Huh? Oh, I practiced my A's. Does this look like an A to you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, here's the target area.
It's Minnesota, sir.
Oh, damn it, man. That's the genius of my plan. We don't have to traipse all over the world to fight. We can do it right here at home. Get us some good fishing while we're at it.
Sir, the enemy is over there.
Then we'll fly them over here. They can bring their relatives. We'll teach them to ice skate. Do I have to think of everything? Well, a word of advice. Don't go around calling yourself the president. I wouldn't do that, and I don't think you should either. It just doesn't hold water. For that matter, neither do I. Just get away from these power cables, huh? If you can.
I'll just end it with that. I can prove it as well as he can. And then you got the real thing. You got Joe Biden out there. He's giving a speech recently, and he forgets the name of his defense secretary and the Pentagon. He goes, "Yeah, you know that guy in charge of that outfit over there." Like, what outfit over there? You mean the Pentagon? Here's Joe this week. Let me play this clip. This is from CNN. I mean, just unreal. It might have a commercial first. Let's see what happens. Yeah, of course there is. This is. I'm in.
You know that thing.
Yeah.
You know.
So I want to thank you both, and I want to thank the former general. I keep calling him general, but the guy who runs that outfit over there.
The guy who runs that outfit over there. You mean the outfit, meaning the Pentagon, your defense secretary that you just nominated, 45 days ago.
That's a pretty big building over there, Joe.
Wow.
It's
He's just
fairly
shot.
important. Yeah.
I don't know who's running the government, but I want to think it's like Susan Rice or Barack Obama or Kamala Harris. It sure as hell is not the illegitimate president, Joe Biden. He can't even form a sentence. It's
And nor did he win, by the way. Nor did he win. 4 months later,
way.
the 2020 presidential election in Georgia, there's no chain of custody. I'm reading this.
No.
Documents produced for 404,000 absentee ballots deposited in drop boxes. So
Yep.
they
Well,
know
now-
damn well they stole it.
Well, now they want to formalize that now. Now they're passing HR1 in the House.
Why not, though? Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah,
You have
I'm telling you.
spineless Republicans that had the chance to fix this. Look I don't think it's right. None of us think it's right. But if you have spineless Republicans that continue to get run over, they're just going to continue to run over you. That's what they do.
Well,
they're good at it.
Yeah,
Democrats are really good at being politicians and running over you. That's what they do. They don't work. They don't work.
No.
They figure out ways Monday through Friday to take your money. And guess what they do? They figure out ways to take more of it. That's their job,
That's
and they're
their
good
job.
at it.
Mitch McConnell did issue a statement, though, and here's what he said. The president, he incited violence, and so we got to give the Democrats anything they want. Cocaine Mitch is, honest to God, guys like John Boehner, Paul Ryan, by the way, holding a fundraiser for Liz Cheney. Shocker. Right? You definitely have, two distinct parts of the Republican Party. The useless part, which is about 90% of it, and then the other 10% of people like, Jim Jordan and folks like that actually, try to, Dram Paul, that actually care about the people and try to represent them, right?
Yeah, it's about
Everybody
10%
else are useless.
probably.
10%.
I will say this, you know what's sad is like some of the Republicans in New York State have been awesome. They're just so diluted at this point. It doesn't matter.
Well, they're also when they're out of power, though. Think about when we were in the minority. They were like, oh, we were in the minority. We repealed Obamacare like 46 times.
Yeah.
Right? When we're in the minority, we got all kinds of
we're all tough.
big muscles, like big tough muscles, right?
First 2 years, nothing.
Nothing.
They put through a shitty tax. I don't want to say a cut. A good, great corporate tax
for
cut.
corporate.
A shitty everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
They raised our taxes.
Yeah, well, places like New York and California got punished for sure, but anyway,
no, we
New
knew
York,
about that. We lost all kinds of. We lost deductions on real estate, all kinds of stuff.
real estate, interest, taxes, stuff. But the idea was to say to a place like New York that had a $6 billion budget deficit before the crisis. I want to remind you of that. We were going into the budget with last year before COVID. $6 billion in the hole. It's just so the COVID was a gift for Cuomo at the beginning, and and really throughout the whole thing, because the media just fanned the flames of he's a hero, he's great. They're still trying to, in at least his inner circle. Melissa Del Rosa put out a statement, said let's not get distracted by these women. Let's keep in mind that his performance during the pandemic was nothing but competent. Did you see? Are you up to speed on the news, Melissa?
You know what's sad? You know what's sad is that he could have come out of this a hero had he done exactly what de Blasio did, which is made a move and said, look, I'm looking at the numbers. We're going to open up restaurants. We're going to open some of this stuff up. Mm-hmm. He could have still played his you need to wear a mask stuff, but he would not have destroyed 30% to not they 40%. You're talking about when you talk about a service-oriented economy, New York City is it, right? Shows and theaters and restaurants and all this BS that all these business owners had to put up with. They did it because they said, well, we can make up for it because people are going to fly in from all over because it's New York City. Well, not happening anymore.
Not anymore.
He just went a little too far. No, he went way too far. Way too far.
Well, de Blasio is worse than Cuomo, and Cuomo is using that now as his defense. He came out this week, and he had a disastrous week. I mean, he had an absolute disastrous week. He apologized on Sunday in writing. That went over like a lead balloon. He apologized verbally later in the week in a press conference. That was even worse. And again, he's just like when he apologized, I'm air quotes, Mike.
Well, he's so arrogant. He's so arrogant.
For the nursing homes. Like, I apologize for letting a vacuum be created, a void, we'll call it, that allowed you and the media and the political enemies to create a false narrative that somehow I was at fault for stuffing people in nursing homes. Well, nothing.
I'm going to say I'm sorry on behalf of you.
I'm going to exactly. I feel bad. I'm apologizing for you. I mean, really, right? But now he did the same thing with the women, right? He's like, well, I apologize if I let you guys believe that I was anything but just touchy feely. It seems to be a pattern in the Democrat Party, right,
sure.
Mike? I mean,
It
Biden. Is that a requirement to be a Democrat?
Anybody, it seems that anybody that's accusing or making legislation up about something, they are doing it themselves, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, all Saturday we were talking about the sexual harassment videos that we created that were spoofs on mainly Democrats, although some Republicans, but politicians, or including in some of the liberal left. But it's all the very people like Andrew Cuomo that said every business owner needs to make sure that every one of their employees goes through an hour training course, and you need to do that every year, and anybody new within 30 days. And we were saying at the time, darn well that he's going to be busted with some of this stuff because of what he's forcing us to do. Sure enough, here it comes. And it's a the thing is, there's one thing to be able to say, some girl says, you were overly nice to me, or, it's another thing to be talking about somebody's sexual activity.
I will say, though,
I can't imagine as a 50-something-year-old man talking to a 25-year-old girl about her sexual activity
in the workplace,
thinking that's not going to come back to me. Right?
Well, in the workplace in New York State, that's a crime, right? So I would say that, Governor Cuomo came out and said, well, I deserve a fair, shake. I deserve to be, have my defense. And he's right about that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, they don't do that with Republicans.
Well, I don't know where, during Kavanaugh, I believe them all.
That's right.
As ridiculous it was, right? I was gang raped on the weekend, but I went every weekend in the same party. No, you didn't. Those are alleged. That was the one out of Fort Lauderdale, by the way, that Aviente brought out.
I'm going to bring in my friends. Yeah, we don't remember you either.
No, ridiculous. Anyway, but now he's saying, well, I deserve a fair shake. Honestly, I agree with him. He's right in that case.
Sure.
He doesn't.
They all
because
do.
The reality of it is that these accusations are just accusations, right?
Yep.
Were they inappropriate? Yes. In New York State, because of Cuomo's laws, that kind of flirtation with your secretary is now illegal. In other states, it might not be. It might be inappropriate, highly inappropriate, ridiculously immoral and unethical. However, I don't know that in a place like a Texas or a Florida or an Ohio or a Michigan that doesn't have the aggressive – in New York, just so those folks listening out of state, in New York, you as a business owner can be held liable for your vendors. Give me an example. FedEx walks in. I'm not saying FedEx does this. We love our FedEx guys, so please don't miss. This is an example, okay?
XYZ packaging
I'll tell you what.
company.
XYZ packaging company walks in. There you go. Because I don't want to get a call from FedEx. I like the FedEx. He's a good guy. Anyway, XYZ packaging company delivers something. Oh, you know what? Let's take Wayfair because they actually screwed us. So we'll please actually use their name, okay? Wayfair comes in with their garbage delivery person. Don't ever order from Wayfair, by the way. And let's say the Wayfair guys come in and they hit on your secretary, and your secretary makes a complaint. You, as the business owner, can simply be liable for that sexual
Totally
harassment.
out of control. Totally out of control.
Right?
Nothing to do
Right?
with it. Yeah.
So that's what
By the way, during
Como
the Kavanaugh-
created in New York.
We played the clips last week on the radio during the Kavanaugh hearing. He didn't want to give Kavanaugh a break. He didn't want.
No.
Andrew's on tape saying
Yeah.
you just believe her automatically 100%.
Yeah. Right.
It's absolutely his fault. Even as 100% crazy as she was with zero proof, and everybody knew she was a nut job. Everybody knew she was a plant from the Democrat Party. He said Brett does not get a fair hearing. I'm sorry. He's guilty. Get him out of there.
That's right. So I guess the double standard, right?
What goes around comes around.
But here's the
maybe? I
thing:
don't
here's
know.
going, I think. But
Yeah.
here's his defense.
I do
though.
too. I'm
Here's
starting to
his
think you're right.
defense.
I'm not sure you're going to get it by March, though.
Well,
I'm
maybe not
sure
by.
you're
Well,
gonna
that's
get
the
it by
over under.
I still think you might owe me. I still think you might owe me some red stripes.
Probably.
But it's certainly mounting. That here's the thing, because the folks now that are investigating him are not going to give him a break.
Well,
right?
here's
There's
why
a-
though, because they were his biggest cheerleaders, right? So
yeah.
we'll talk about that in a second.
But the
his
lawyers
defense is-
investigating Cuomo have taken down other political figures. They're
Yeah.
not afraid of him. So.
Well, here's his defense, though. This is the best part. His defense is, it could be worse. You could get de Blasio. Be careful what you wish for.
Well, hey,
honest to
look,
God, that's his
but
defense, right?
But they just won a presidential election on something like that, right? Let's steal the ballots, but also we're just going to take our candidate, put him in the basement, hide him,
Yeah.
and it could be worse. You could get Trump. That's
But I got to be
that's
honest
what
with you, de Blasio, I mean, Comrade de
he's a
Blasio is a
communist.
flat-out communist, right?
Communist.
Cuomo's a bully, but he's actually kind of a moderate bully in a way. He's not a far leftist. I mean,
Right.
he's not a great guy, but Cuomo is not Cuomo is your typical Democrat, right? Your typical tax and spend Democrat.
Yeah, can't figure it out.
Yeah.
Prices going up.
Just
people
spend
moving
more
out.
money, take
Let's
more
do of it.
taxes, do more special projects, spend more. But in
that
New
the
York
clean energy
City,
stuff that doesn't make anything cleaner.
but de Blasio is a flat-out commie. And
he's
when
a
you hear the
communist.
stuff his wife says, we'll get
He's
to her in a
communist.
second.
He would turn
holy
this into
smokes.
30% unemployment rates in a heartbeat, and not think anything of it.
No,
I mean,
that'd be
we
good.
played clips, by the way, months ago, a year ago, when this was all starting, of him saying, "I'm going to use COVID to change the fabric
That's
of
right.
New York State."
That's
That's what he
right.
said.
That's
Now I'm
right.
going to change. We cannot go back to the way it was. Where there was too much capitalism. There's too many people making money. We can't do that. He is on
can't.
tape a year ago saying that.
Yep.
Well, he might get what he wanted.
He might. The scary thing for Cuomo, I think what his concern needs to be, and it's not so much the these lawyers that are going after him. He's lost the media. He's lost
Yeah.
the media. Now he's lost the media for one major reason. Because the media has egg all over their faces, right? The media, New York Times especially, CNN especially, New York Times has run multiple front page hit pieces against Cuomo in just a couple of weeks. Why would they do that? Well,
by the way,
they were the biggest cheerleaders of Cuomo, right? Remember,
Yeah.
the media was the one cheering Cuomo on
Oh,
as
he's the greatest.
America's governor, and
That's right.
look at the job Cuomo was. They put him up on a pedestal. They hailed him
Hollywood.
as a hero, even though there was all kinds of evidence. We brought evidence in the middle of April. We brought out that
Hollywood
March
loved him.
25th directive that said he's forcing people into nursing homes, and the media ignored it.
Where's-
Except for the New York Post. New York Post was the only outlet that actually did honest reporting. They were it, though. So now the media, they got to cover for themselves. The media would much rather talk about Cuomo's sexual escapades, allegedly, than they would talk about the nursing home scandal. Because the nursing home scandal now, Mike, it's out there now.
Yeah, well,
they've
and
admitted to falsifying
and it's
documents.
blatantly obvious that they dropped the ball. They being the media on that. Right?
Absolutely.
So it's blatantly obvious. So let's turn it into this is Andrew Cuomo. But I
Yeah,
still think
it's a
that, by the way,
distraction.
if you look at the polls, he wins. By the way, he still wins against most of the people that are going to step up.
Yeah,
which
I don't
is
believe
so
those.
Scary.
I don't believe any polls anymore. I don't believe any polls. But I don't know who you step up against Cuomo. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think he makes it out of the,
The
year.
problem is,
I don't think he makes it out of the
and
month,
this is
but-
happening everywhere, right? Lynn Dixon is an example, right? She's going to run again. Lynn is a great lady, not very aggressive, and and we've been a little bit critical critical of her not being as outgoing as we would like.
Yeah.
The problem is who in the hell else wants that job?
Yeah,
Nobody.
right, nobody.
I was talking to other people who are going to support her, and they're like, "Okay, well, you run, Mike." I'm like, "I don't want that job."
right.
Okay, well, then that's who we got, right? Like, she's got the stones
Yeah, right.
to step up and run, so we have to figure out a way to help her. I'm like, I get that, I understand that, right? But who wants the governor's job? I mean, this is like it's like taking over the Patriots after
Right.
they've won 5, 10 Super Bowls or whatever, right? Like, you don't want that job. You want the job where they're 2-10 or 2-14 or whatever.
You turn them around.
Yeah, and you come out as a hero when you're 500, right? Nobody wants the Patriots job. Who would want the quarterback job after Brady leaves? Nobody,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
who the hell wants New York State at this point?
Give Poland Cars a few more years, and he'll definitely make us 2-10. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But so anyway, so Cuomo's out there. Here's the thing: the media wants to cover their tracks, but the media would much rather have everybody talking about Cuomo's these accusers and sexual misconduct because they don't want to face the facts that in June they had really bad numbers from nursing homes because of Governor Cuomo. His aides now have flat out said, we changed the document. We presented Cuomo with the document. He didn't like the numbers. He told us to change it. They did things like, we talked about this. They mess with the numbers by saying, well, if you were in a nursing home and got COVID, but then you were transported to a hospital, even if you died in the ambulance, that's not nursing home death.
Yeah.
You didn't die in
Oh,
a nursing home.
They
right?
got then
So
then
they jerry-rigged the
then-
numbers.
Then people on his inside campaign said, "Yes, we did that." Right?
Yes, you did. So,
yeah, we
that's
did.
the
We did it.
scandal. That's why he should be impeached. That's why he should resign. The
Well,
women
hopefully-
are just the reason I know the women are a distraction because where were they a year ago?
Well, they did it. Yeah, this
Where
all
were
came
they
out a
2
year
years ago?
This all came
well,
out.
some
a year
did,
ago,
but
right?
now the
There was
Democrats
4 or 5
don't-
though about a year ago. We all said, "Oh, good," and then it just went away. Right?
Yeah.
Like COVID just covered it right up. Like,
Well, there was
he's-
one for sure back in September. The media just ignored it completely.
By
right?
the way, they stopped producing his book, which I was sort of interested in
Really?
reading the final chapter.
Come on, they actually stopped producing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
They stopped producing it as of
Wow.
I think as of yesterday.
It was such a hot seller, I'm sure, though.
Well, I wanted to read it because I wanted to see how it ended.
Well, did you see how it ended?
I
It ends
would
with his
like-
impeachment. That's how
I'll
it
tell you
ends,
what,
Mike. It ends
there's
with
a
him
lot of
resigning in
people-
disgrace.
There's a lot of people that would like to see him go, specifically in Buffalo, because we know the corruption that went on with Solar City and that whole project down there.
Yep.
And that was enough to see him go. It would be nice to see some kind of I'm going to say this and I'm going to bite my own tongue. I might even cut it out of my own mouth, but some kind of ethics, like because he was such a corrupt politician for so long, it finally caught up with him. Maybe the next go around, somebody won't be as corrupt.
Oh, come
I think
on.
Letitia James wants the
Yeah.
job. I think she's going to be just as left wing, if not more left wing.
Oh, yeah. No.
The state is screwed beyond
Yeah.
screwed.
Well,
They're already redistricting and,
Oh, yeah.
and getting rid of more and more Republicans. Republicans are getting zero money. By the way, he's not going away totally. He's got like $17 million
Yeah.
or something like that in a war chest. I mean,
Yep.
that's a lot of money to be able to sort of look at. Spitzer got a freaking job as an ethics.
Yeah.
Giving an ethics tour amongst college campuses
Yeah.
after he was caught taking strippers across state
And a CNN
line
job.
as a married man. Yeah,
Don't forget
and a
the CNN job.
So this guy's not being accused of anything. He's being inappropriate, no doubt. But I think what Spitzer did was worse. He'll be back. Well, you'll find him somewhere. They won't go away.
He'll be on
Republicans go
CNN
away.
with his brother.
If he was a Republican, the left wingers would have surrounded his house. It would have already been on fire. He would have already resigned because he would have said, "I had enough," But not him. He'll be
No.
back. He'll be on CNN with
They'll
his
be-
brother.
yeah, he'll be on
They'll
CNN with his
actually
brother.
They'll actually be able to talk again, right? So his
Well,
brother
he-
can't talk right now.
He may be right, though. I mean, when Como says, be careful what you wish for because it could be a lot worse, right? He may be right. This out of New York City, this Shirlane McRae. Now, this is de Blasio's wife, right? She is a left wing. She is more commie than commie de Blasio is. And the worst part is she's just dumb. I mean, she's just flat out ignorant.
Well,
the sick thing is
A lot of people in New York City like her, though.
$1 billion.
A lot of people in New York City.
She got this is Democrat money laundering, folks. This is how this works. Oh, Charlene, why don't we set up a whatever they did for her, like a non-for-profit that you could help out the inner city and blah blah blah. Here's $1 billion for you.
Oh,
right?
by the way, you
$1
deserve
billion.
a real nice salary out of it, too.
$1 billion.
Yeah, a
But the
billion.
billion. Now,
And-
meanwhile, they're cutting police officers. Here's what she had to say about that, though. This is great, Mike. As attacks on Asian American communities continue, we're asking New Yorkers to show up for their neighbors and intervene when witnessing hateful violence or harassment. I
you
know
police
that
it.
can be frightening when you aren't sure what to do or say, but you can learn, McRae posted on Twitter. Oh, okay.
No, we're not going to give you a gun. We're going to take your gun away.
Right.
But you should what? Street fight? You
Yeah,
should learn how to street fight?
so when the violent assaulter is assaulting
With a gun.
the
With a gun.
armed police officer for the third time that afternoon, which has happened with
How
bail
about this?
reform.
The unarmed police officer and the armed crook, because the crook didn't hand in his or her guns.
You
right?
can't
We'll
make
say
this
his.
stuff up, though. Here's
No,
what
you
she
can't.
had to say
We
on
did, we
Twitter.
did remember we did a show a few weeks ago about somebody on the left saying, look, if you're being robbed, it's real easy. Just let them have whatever
Yeah.
they want
Let 'em take it.
because there's no reason why two people would get hurt. And if you did that, crime would go way down. That's what they
Right.
said. I wish I could find that. We talked about it on
Yeah,
the radio
crime would go
years
way
ago.
down when there's no resistance, and criminals are
Yeah.
like, oh well,
Yeah.
I break into the house with the hopes that I might actually get shot.
This isn't fun anymore.
This is fun. Yeah, this is way too easy. What? They're just
It's like
giving
going-
me stuff
it's
now.
like-
It's way too
like
easy.
Going
I'm out.
deer hunting.
I'm
Like
out.
going deer hunting with 50 of them in a cage.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm out.
this isn't any fun.
Too
I'm
easy.
out.
Here's
Yeah.
what Shirlane McRae had to say on March 6th on Twitter, which is I guess one of the last week. Fear is a normal feeling when stepping into a confrontation, but being prepared can help. I'll share I. Hollenbach's 5 Ds, which are easy to remember tactics that we can all use to de-escalate a situation. So D is for distract, delegate, document, delay, or direct. Distract. Take attention away from the person causing harm, the hate crime or incident survivor or situation itself. So as the
Delay
big,
is the big
as a
one.
big criminal,
We don't have any police officers. Delay as much as you can.
As a-
Because it used to take 30 seconds for them to get here. It's going to take about an hour or so.
as a criminal is ground pounding the police officer in the head. What are you going to do?
Ground pounding
Oh, look over here! I got a shiny object. Look over here. Oh,
Yeah.
distract
No.
you. Look over
No, here's the
here.
best
Look
part.
over here.
Here's the best part. I will
what a
bet my
joke.
left leg that her and her husband or hubby there are protected by armed guards.
Of course they are.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course they're.
I'm sure they got the
Distract.
best
How do you
private security
distract
there
when
is.
somebody's in a fight like that? You got somebody being violent. Have you seen the assaults, Shirlane? Have you seen like the dozen girls and sometimes
By the
beating
way-
up on one person? What are you going to do?
Shirley, some of these people have spent time in prison.
A lot of
and you and the left have all let them out, right? So these people are not nice people. These people are not the ones that left, Sunday school, and now they're just going to hang out and get in, decide they want.
So
get
listen
in a
to
little bit of
this.
trouble.
This is unbelievable to me. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm reading this as you're talking, and I'm just I've read this already, and yet I'm still blown away the third time I'm reading this. Distract. Take attention away from the person causing harm, the hate crime, or incident survivor or situation itself. Just try interrupting it. Ignore the harasser and engage directly with the person who's being targeted by asking a question like, "What time is it?" Holy.
Do you like your head beat
Honest
in?
to God, you cannot make this stuff
No,
up.
you can't. They live in a fairy tale world. They really do.
unbelievable.
And facts don't matter. Reality doesn't matter. And none of it matters. I mean, they just, and most of these people are the same people who refuse to go get a job, go work for a living, right? And New York State's just a mess. It's a mess. It's everything that's been set up in the state has been set up
For criminals. It's for criminals. It's for criminals.
and for people who don't want to work. You look at like the Medicaid system, for instance. You know how many people in this state are going, well, I don't think I'm going to go get a job because I'm pretty cushy getting my free health insurance, which is worth like $1,500 a month. And I'll say, well, you could go get a job, right? Yeah, I could, but then I'd lose this. Well, all you need to do is right size it, right? Florida doesn't seem to have a problem, right? Florida maxes out on welfare at like $1,100 a month, so you can't get rich from it, or you can't, at least be comfy from it, right? The Medicaid there is not given to everybody. If you're able-bodied and you can go out and get a damn job, you can do that. And now it's funny because we spend tons of times on the floor. I don't see people dying in ditches. I don't see any of that stuff. People seem to be pretty healthy down there, right? How is it? I'll tell you how it is. Because they don't use it as a crutch to stay home. They go, you know what? I'm going to go out and get a job. Wow.
That's right. Well, they don't have. They can't. They don't. They have to give a job. They
Can't.
have, or they have to panhandle,
They can't.
right?
They can't.
So, and
by the way,
you see this more in
less,
Florida.
less and less ghettos down there. How could that be? How could there be less? In fact, many of the quote ghettos down there are now slowly cleaning themselves up. And by the way, a lot of those people, I'll use Riviera Beach, by the way, as we're down in Jupiter. Riviera Beach seems to be getting slightly cleaner.
Even
every time I go down there, you know why? Because there's people coming with resources and money, and they're saying, you know what? I'm going to take a risk on that dilapidated neighborhood. By the way, how could it be 60 years of government control in the city of Buffalo and in Rochester, and the ghettos seem to be getting worse? The east side of
definitely getting
Buffalo is
worse.
getting worse. It's not getting better.
I can tell you that the ghettos in Florida are and I can't speak for Texas, but you know,
few and far between.
Well, and
Few and
like,
far
but
between.
to your point though, you can drive through Riviera Beach. Like
Yeah.
it's not the ghettos
There's a
in
water
Florida.
park in Riviera Beach. Glenn.
Yeah,
there's
they're
a
not-
water park. If there was a water park in the east side of Buffalo,
Yeah, it'd be shut down.
It would be shut down.
Yeah,
it is. I think there is. Martin Luther King Park is. There's no water running in it.
Right. Well, because they stole the pipes, I think, is what happened.
They did. They
Seriously.
did. Absolutely, they
Yeah,
did.
it's just-
Absolutely,
it's sickening.
1,000%. Not even. You think that's funny? That's not a funny.
No,
it's
it's
the
not
truth.
funny. It's
They
sad.
stole the
It's sad.
plumbing.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
It really is. And this is what
Yeah.
happens in Florida. That doesn't happen, and for a couple of reasons. I think in Florida, and I think in general, in more conservative type, Republican, strongholds, I think people have a higher respect for each other. I think they have a higher respect for themselves. I think they have a higher respect for the property, even in the ghetto. I mean, you go through some of these areas. I'll give you an example. When I'm down in Florida, I like to fish up in a place called Fort Pierce, and Fort Pierce is it's not Jupiter, right? Fort Pierce is not the high end Jupiter, Palm Beach. You think of Naples, type of Florida, right? It's just a normal little town, whatever. But near the beach, it's not a it's a minority community, no question about it. I mean, but it's not. I drive through there all the time. It's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
really, you can see the businesses, and obviously I can see the people there and whatnot. But the homes are not boarded up. There's businesses are actually doing okay and
Yep.
thriving in some cases. And I would think nothing of getting out of the car and stopping at a gas station and filling up my gas tank and talking to folks. I mean, there's just a higher respect for. Maybe it's just a higher respect for human life in general. I mean, I'm not saying there's not murders and shootings. Of course, Florida's got a higher percentage of crazies than anywhere else in the country.
Sure.
Believe you me, right?
Yep,
We
yep.
talk about that sometimes, but but I think from just a self-respect standpoint, there just seems to be more. I don't know. I don't
I'll
know.
tell you why.
Something
Because
about
when
it.
you're being forced to
Something
work for
different.
your own stuff,
Yeah.
you actually gain some appreciation for other
Yeah,
people's
I guess
stuff,
it must be.
right?
So
I mean, when you're forced to go to work, in New York State, it's this. Hey, you know what?
It's
Don't
not
go
your
to work.
fault.
It's welfare. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
Don't go to work because you might have to pay for your own health insurance. Oh my. Give me a break. Now, if you force those people to say, look, you got to pay for your own health insurance. Now, are there people that are sick? Of course they are.
Right.
And those people that are sick, they're getting the good care they need down in the state of Florida. Here, it's a crutch for healthy people not to have to go to work, right?
Yeah.
And so many of them are 60, 61 years old, and they say, I don't feel like working anymore, but my health insurance is expensive, so I'll just keep my income down. I've got $1 million worth of assets. I'll tax defer them. I'll put them into annuities. I'll tax defer all that money. So my income is down. So I've got no income coming in, right? Got all these assets, but they don't care about assets. They just care about income. Oh, your income's down? Okay, you qualify for the Cadillac of Cadillac health insurance. You're good. Don't work till you're 65, right? The rest of us will pay for it. That's the problem. The rest of us will continue to pay for it.
Yep, and I think there's this mentality in places like New York of, like I said, it's not your fault. In fact, not only is it not your fault, but somebody else is the cause of you being in that situation.
Oh, yeah. No,
and
yeah.
you should get even, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole mantra today. That's the equity versus equality, right? We're gonna equate the outcomes by hurting one group. In fact, let me play a Margaret Thatcher clip because this is a perfect time for this, right? And this is a Women's History Month, and Margaret Thatcher is my absolute all-time favorite woman leader, but she's one of my probably top 5 all-time favorite leaders ever, right?
Yeah.
Reagan, Thatcher,
No,
right up
she's
there.
right up there.
Right
she
up
might be
there.
number 1 or 2, yeah.
She's probably number 2 for me.
The way
It's in
not
that order.
only her mindset on her ability to really reason through things, but the way she says it too. She really comes across as just a very solid figure. So
Yeah, she was terrific. I got a bunch more clips here to play. Let me play this one first. This is Margaret Thatcher, and what a great, but she nails it, right? This is socialism in Britain, right? They're chastising her, this guy is, because she's, she increased the gap between the rich and the poor, right? But this is a great clip.
No doubt that the Prime Minister has in many ways achieved substantial success for the economy. There is one statistic that I understand is not, however, challengeable, and that is that over her 11 years, the gap between the richest 10% and the poorest 10% in this country has widened substantially.
That's right.
How can she say at the end of her chapter of British politics that she can justify many people in a constituency such as mine being relatively much poorer off much less well housed, and much less well provided
Roger
than
nailed
it
this out
was
of the
in
park.
1979. Surely she accepts that
tee
is
it up?
not
She
a
nails
record
it. I mean,
that
she
she
just is great.
or any Prime Minister can be proud of.
Mr. Speaker, all levels of income are better off than they were in 1979. But what the honourable member is saying is that he would rather the poor were poorer, provided the rich were less rich. That way you will never create the wealth for better social services as we have. And what a policy! Yes, he would rather have the
the way
poor
they operate.
poorer, provided the rich were less rich. That is a liberal policy. Yes, it came out. He didn't intend it to, but he did.
He didn't intend
He
it
didn't
to.
intend it to, but it did. And she's right, right?
He
They would
teed it up for her
rather
and she nailed it right out of the park.
look
Yep.
at. You're never going to make somebody less poor by making somebody else less rich.
rich.
Let me
Never.
say that again. There's never been any case in history where you have made somebody less poor. You might say, well, how can you say that, Glenn? If I take $1,000 from a rich person and give it to a poor person, they're less poor. Maybe for today, but not in the long term, right?
Nope.
It doesn't work. What
It's like
works
teaching
is
people to fish as opposed
that's
to giving
right.
them fish.
What
There's no
works
doubt.
is creating an environment so everybody, if they work hard, can be successful at whatever they do. And this is still a wonderful country. You can come to this country as an immigrant from a faraway land without any English skills whatsoever and become a multimillionaire business owner within 20 years in this country.
the
You
Asian
can't do that
community-
anywhere else.
Right,
Anywhere
or
else.
the Vietnamese proved that during Vietnam when the Vietnamese came over here, got nothing.
Yeah.
Not any hint, not welfare, not nothing. And yet within a 10-year block, they became the wealthiest part of our society. How could that be?
Right.
How could it be that we gave them we literally, Glenn, said, you get zero.
Zero,
You don't
right.
get any welfare.
Yep.
You don't get anything.
And they did
yet
it.
within 10 years, they were able to be the wealthiest part of our society.
That's right.
The best thing we did for them is give them nothing except for one thing, the opportunity
That's all they
to be
needed.
successful. That's all they needed.
all they
right?
needed.
And that's all anybody needs right now. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there to do what you want to do. You just actually have to get off your ass and do it.
That's right.
I know we're up against God. Well, you want to talk a little bit of COVID? I was watching.
Before we do though, let me transition with this video to COVID because
Okay.
this is perfect. This is I should have played this earlier. My apologies. And then I've got some numbers here that are shocking. When it
By the
comes
way,
to
the
COVID.
media is still smashing Florida. It's hilarious.
I know,
I sent you a
right?
video this morning, and they're like, so now there's this new strain. By the way,
Oh, please.
there's a group, I won't even
Stop
mention
it.
them, but they're a left-wing, like, wannabe CNN, and they blasted you and I they took some of our clips out of the radio. One of the clips they took was me saying this, that 4 weeks ago. I said, this thing is starting to mutate itself, and I'm telling you, numbers are going to go way down.
Yep.
So they said, oh, financial guy is giving great health advice. Well, damn it, I was right. I
Again.
was spot
Again.
on. Again.
Again.
Because if you looked at over the next 4 weeks, the hospitalizations are down to 0.01%. And by the way, 78% of the people, now I want you to think about this, hospitalizations are at 0.01, and 78% of those people hospitalized are obese. And I don't mean a little
That's right.
overweight, I mean
Yeah.
obese,
Yeah.
right? So there's a clear pattern that now it is mutating itself.
Yep.
It is only hurting people that are 90 plus, the very people that we
Yeah.
should have protected from the get-go, and people that are extremely heavy. We should be at this point living our lives and saying, look, here's who it's hurting. If you are in this category, you may want to take some extra precautions. We should still not be smashing 50% occupancy, 75%.
Yep.
Ridiculous.
By the way,
absolutely ridiculous.
Even if you're 90, it's not a death sentence. My
No, it's not.
my aunt survived.
No, it's not.
My aunt had a stroke.
No, it's not.
She went into the hospital.
Yep.
She got COVID in the hospital. Nice
Yep.
job there, folks. Really,
Yeah.
really
How
strong.
could that be? How could
really,
that- they were
really
all wearing
strong
masks,
work,
Glenn.
right?
How
Really,
could that be?
yeah. But really,
Yeah.
but seriously, really
you know
strong
why?
work. Like, come on.
You know why, Glenn? You know why it's not death sentence? Because 96% of the people that got COVID would have died anyways.
Yeah, right.
That's what the CDC said.
Right.
We will find
Well,
out. We already know this. This is the biggest bullshit that's ever been. It's the biggest grab by the left ever, and they can't stop.
Well, now
I'm
they're
watching
getting-
this
so
video
that's
this
where
morning, they're
HR1
talking about
is.
Florida, and I'm like, what do you like?
Right.
They're down in Florida. They're on the beaches of Florida, saying, well, now that it's spring break,
Any day now.
any day now,
Any
this
day
thing's
now.
going to erupt. I'm like, and they go, well, we were in Atlanta because the All-Star game for the NBA. People are organizing and gathering, and then they went to to another college and said, "Look at these people. We were able to break up the party, but these kids are gathering without masks."
Right.
Are you that stupid to think that these kids?
Yes.
They are. Right.
Yes, they are.
That over the last 12 months, these kids, I know because I've got nieces and nephews, and they go to college, and here's what happens, you dumb liberals. They get together with their buddies on weekends and stuff themselves and hide in an apartment together, as opposed to just going out and doing whatever they want to do. And you idiots can't figure out how they're still getting COVID.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly,
Like,
exactly.
It's unreal.
Exactly.
It's unreal. And now why are you down in Florida? Where you should be is in the New York City,
California.
Illinois, California,
Yep.
right? They've had the worst numbers, but you just can't help but hit de Blasio. Well, I'm sorry, DeSantis, right?
Yep.
So, and DeSantis is winning. He's showing. Well, I'll tell you why he's winning, because people are actually moving there. It's a real easy equation, right?
Yep.
But they're on the beaches. I'm like, well, this should be a hot spot. Really, we were told that right after Christmas it was going to explode because of all the Christmas gatherings. Maybe you can be honest just for once and say Florida kicked the crap out of this. We've been saying forever you're going to have COVID with a destroyed economy or COVID with a good economy.
Yep.
Florida's got a great economy.
Yep.
They will have an even greater economy, right?
And now they're going to be forced to pay for the states like New York that messed it up. That's exactly what's happening with this new $1.9 trillion stimulus garbage, which Americans are getting maybe 1/4 of.
Yep.
The rest isn't being spent for years to come. It's all going to liberal things.
It'll go
It's crazy.
overseas. It'll be everywhere else. 90% of the money will be gone.
Yep.
Joke.
Let me play this media clip, and then I got some statistics on COVID that will blow your mind. It really is. How the media is still not on top of this is beyond me.
Nothing will blow
But
my
here's the
mind.
media. Here's the
Called
media.
it right from the get-go, folks, by the way.
This
there
is-
is nobody, the two of us have called this thing from day one. We can go back. We have to go back. We got to
do.
hire somebody
Yeah, we
and
do.
just go back to March of last year
Yep.
and talk about how this whole thing played
Yep,
out.
exactly. So here's the media, though, and they're all their moronic glory.
David, we're standing by for Governor Cuomo's press conference, his daily briefing. How would you contrast Cuomo and President Trump's handling of the crisis?
Truth versus mendacity.
Governor Cuomo out there day after day after day, everything Trump isn't. Honest, direct, brave.
Real leadership
Honest,
of the kind the President of the United States should have provided.
Governor Cuomo is clearly living in a totally different reality.
Yeah, he is.
The actual one?
Got that one right.
Than the President of the United States.
The actual
Governor
one?
Cuomo has become
No,
a
not the
national
actual
leader.
one.
For a lot of people, Andrew Cuomo has
Can you
become
cut
the
that
leader.
off? If the media had just been even slightly honest, Cuomo would have been gone months and months
back
and
in
months
September.
ago. There is zero reason. You never, ever shut down your economic engine. And then when you find out that the very businesses you're shutting down are not the COVID problem, you open that thing up faster than you ever could,
Yep.
right?
They're
And
just
there
like
is-
DeSantis did.
There is zero. Anybody with a brain in their head is going to look at that and say, I cannot believe we've gone through this for a year and a half.
We're
with the
still not open
destruction we've
100%.
gone in. No, we're not. Glenn, we're still not open 100%. And
Actually-
there's never, and many of these venues, by the way, they live with live music. None of that is going to work if you got to go in and put a diaper on your face. None of that is going to work if you're worried about, oh my God, a health inspector is going to come in my back door because Joe might have urinated or walked to the bathroom to urinate, and he might have taken his mask off or had it under his nose for a minute.
It's a
None
joke.
of that is going to work. The way it works is you do exactly what Florida did. DeSantis had a brain in his head. He said, you know what? There's no fines whatsoever. Well, I'm going to put this on you, business owners. You do what you want to do. Many business owners. Now, the mask mandate, as far as I know, actually expired in Palm Beach on January 20th, actually, or February 20th. And it was, of course, the governor months ago said no mask mandate, right? But yet many businesses there say we still want you to wear a mask. That's their priority, right?
well,
They can do that, right? And many have said, oh, guess what? We're done with it, right? There's concerts there. Believe it or not, people actually live there. Oh my God, there would be the hospitalizations are the 0.01 in Florida. Well, how could that be? How could they be the same, right? COVID with a good economy, COVID with a bad economy.
Exactly. When you look at, we'll get to these statistics in a second. Let me play the rest of this video, audio video clip because it's amazing. This is mainly CNN and MSNBC. Obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe there as well. Hit the bell. You'll be notified if you like this kind of content. And you'll actually be able to see the videos that we're playing here. But this is this is MSNBC and CNN mainly, but these, idiots. Well, the reality, they're like on two different realities. Cuomo's in the real one. No, he's not in the real one. Chaliza genius. And clearly by that point, by the way, when they were doing that article, by that point it was becoming pretty painfully obvious that Cuomo was covering up nursing home stuff. Like we early on, we were talking. First of all, we were one of the first to come out with the actual March 25th directive. We put that on Twitter on a Wednesday. The next day on Thursday's New York Post was the first major outlet to actually publish that in a major publication, like a nationwide publication, right? But we had it out first, right? From there, about a month later into May, it was pretty painfully obvious that something was wrong. And yet the media just covered it up and, look at how great he is, look at how great he is. You know? And the sick thing is in New York, after all the data, and just remember, folks, they have the data, right? Cuomo showed the slide, right? 1.6 from restaurants. Why are they not 100% open?
We got to hire somebody just to go back the timeline of our show, right? Because we were saying how every decision he made, like how
was a lie.
Could you be?
It was a lie.
And maybe even if it wasn't a lie, like the ventilators, for whatever reason, he thought, I'm going to store these ventilators for later on, and the people who really need them now, you're not going to get them. But that's just total incompetence, right?
Total incompetence.
And then after being totally incompetent, then you lie about it, right? Like whatever he thought about the nursing home, we were saying, again, this is totally incompetent. You don't do it. Again, take the governor of Florida. The governor of Florida said, I'm not going to stick sick people back into a nursing home. I will set up whatever I have to do. I will turn the basketball arenas into a hospital if I have to before I do that, right? That was common sense. But on top of all this stupidity, then they hide up all the stats that we knew were going to be terrible.
And the thing is, why are restaurants not 100% open? Why are movie theaters not open? Why are sports venues not 100% open? All the data. Remember, he's got the data, folks. He has the data. Well, he put his own slide up. 1.6% of cases coming from bars and restaurants. More people, 74% of new cases coming from people staying at home. 0.6% coming from gyms, .something% coming from hair salons. Why are they not 100% capacity? Is he just punishing New Yorkers for no reason whatsoever? Is he punishing Erie County? It's ridiculous.
You know what's amazing about these liberals is it's my body, my choice, except for these stupid masks.
Well, and the only reason you're open is because of the lawsuits.
If I'm a woman, I can abort a baby without the male's consent whatsoever, right? And I can do that now at full term, right? Absolutely no problem. But if somebody walks in with a mask, or without a mask.
Without a mask,
we lose it. It just blows my mind.
Tackle them to the floor, right?
You can have
seriously.
The same person that says, I'm going to vote for full-term abortion, but if you come next to me without a mask, I'm going to make sure that you get arrested.
Right.
It just blows my mind.
The fact that the male has no say is really disturbing.
Disgusting.
Honestly, I watched the video. It was so sad of a guy outside of an abortion clinic crying. Begging, please don't abort my baby, please. And she did it anyways. And of course, let me play the rest of this clip though. This is just unreal. These folks. But this is why though. This media clip right here, all these different montages are exactly the reason why the media is focused on sexual harassment, not on COVID.
Well, and why a big chunk of the society has been brainwashed into believing that losers like Andrew Cuomo are doing a good job.
Exactly.
Right?
For the Democratic Party.
He is conveying incredible strength.
You spoke to National Guard troops today in a stirring speech that, if I wasn't listening carefully, I thought you were sending soldiers off to war.
This has been a remarkable show of leadership by Governor Cuomo in recent days. He's providing hope, but not false hope.
Wait a minute, where did he ever write hope? Stop it right there. Where has he ever? They're still not providing
hope. But not false hope.
Glenn, we vaccinated 5 million people this week. I think we're up to 100 and something million people, right? And these idiots are still talking about wearing masks. Now, here's the big thing. Where did I print this off?
Only with somebody else. So it's a joke.
I don't have it. The CDC basically said this week, this is breaking news. If you've gotten both vaccinations and you're in a room with other people that are vaccinated, we think you could probably take your mask off.
You think?
No shit.
Yeah.
No kidding. Wow. Jeez. I mean, really? That's where we are? Like, they just cannot stop scaring the living daylights out of people.
They can't.
Here's the thing. Well before your vaccination, you should have been able to do whatever the hell you want to do. If you wanted to hide from it, if you wanted to put 7 diapers wrapped around your face and your body, God bless you. But the fact that you tell me what to do, right? And now people are getting vaccinated and you're still doing that?
Right.
The odds of you dying from this are less than dying of herpes at this point, and they still will not stop their crap. They still won't.
Crazy. Let me play the rest of this.
Because is one of the heroes on the front lines.
With all of this adulation that you're getting for doing your job, are you thinking about running for president?
Andrew Cuomo, who has a daily television show now and has become in some ways the shadow president.
Maybe Trump is just a little bit mad that Governor Cuomo has become a kind of acting president.
Dealing with hardship actually makes you stronger. That's what Governor Cuomo said earlier today.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to go teach my kids right now at home.
Speech. I'm going to teach my kids that at home.
So seriously, that
How
was...
about this? How about this?
Brian Stelter.
Sometimes pain, no gain works, right?
Right.
Like if you're going to lift weights or something like that.
Right.
And a lot
Not
of times
when you're
it
killing grandma,
doesn't.
though.
A lot of times it doesn't. A lot of times it does.
It's
This
just
isn't
pain.
one of those times, right?
It's
We
just
had pain with no gain.
Right.
We had a lot of pain with no gain.
But this is why now the media won't touch this, right? They were cheering on Governor Cuomo for the last 12 months, right? We're about 12 months, actually. We are 1 year as of yesterday. March 8th, I believe, was when they first declared this a pandemic and when stuff in the country started shutting down. So 1 year, it was 2 weeks to slow the curve. It was 2 weeks to let our hospitals staff up. It was 2 weeks to make sure that our hospitals had enough PPE. It was just 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks became 4 weeks. And here we are a year later.
Never. There's not a hospital anywhere in this country that was overwhelmed by COVID.
None.
Not one.
Not one.
The only ones that had a little bit of an issue were because they laid off 50% of their staff.
That's right.
And there was other people starting to come back to get other things
There was
done.
never a case where we had
Never.
3 or 4 people on the same ventilator.
Never.
There was never a case where we had people in the halls. In
We
fact,
have-
he
we
didn't
have
even use the
ventilators-
ship.
Yes.
He didn't use the Javits Center. He didn't
We
use
have
the
ventilators
ship.
that are still wrapped up.
We
They're
had
still
3,000
wrapped up. We didn't even use them, Glenn.
You got
Didn't even
Governor
use them.
Cuomo, literally, this is no joke, folks. Literally, this happened. He's sending over millions of dollars to buy PPE. Never got the masks. It was a Nigerian prince scam. Honest to God. That only Governor Cuomo fell for that. No other states. No, total incompetence. Let me read some stats here. This is shocking. Bellwether Education Partners, a nonprofit organization focused on improving learning outcomes, estimates that since March of 2020, when American schools shut their doors, 3 million children have dropped out of formal education system and may never return to school.
That's
This from the
unreal.
First Trust COVID-19 tracker. First
Now,
Trust is
who
a
said months ago COVID in a
investment
box?
company. Great job,
yeah.
by the way, they're doing.
Yeah.
First Trust has done a wonderful job with these
Now,
numbers.
who said COVID in the box? Now, how many of those 3 million people do we think are going to end up in federal prison?
Yeah. Here's something
Well,
else.
at least for the short term until you let them out. How many of those 3 million people, by the way, are those kids are not going to be able to get a career that's self-fulfilling that end up killing themselves?
That's right.
How many of those 3 million people, those 3 million kids, are going to end up on the streets with a needle in their arm and ODing, right?
That's right.
But you know what? We're all about, COVID, and that's all that mattered at this point.
Speaking
right?
of that-
Not one of these liberals had a brain in their head
Nope.
to think outside the box and think COVID in a box. Wait a minute.
That's right.
There's ramifications for what we're going to do.
That's right.
Yes, so a few people might die of the flu, but what about all these people that are going to die of drug overdoses? What about these people that are 3 million kids that are never going to go back to school? Shame on every one of them.
Yep, and
they're still doing it, by the way.
and they're
These
still doing it.
dirtbag teachers unions
Yep.
and all around the
Absolutely.
country with, we're scared of the flu. We can't
Abolish
go
it.
back and teach
Bullshit.
these kids. Go. Bye.
Just go.
Bye.
Find another
Bye.
job then. Go
That's right.
go work in
That's
a
right.
plastic
Let's
wrap.
find
somewhere.
the teachers that want to go teach.
Yeah.
Let them
That care
go
about
back
the
to
kids.
teaching.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's about 75% of them that want to teach. It's like anything else.
Yep.
You've got a very small group that have a big mouth, and they're the ones that are pushing these teachers unions to say, this is
Yep.
great.
Exactly.
We're only working 3 days a week. We're good with that.
Yeah, we're
right?
good with that. The
Yeah.
kids are suffering. A national study of 32 billion U.S. medical record and insurance claims found that in April of 2020, claim lines for generalized anxiety disorder in the 13 to 18 age group increased 93.6% as a percentage of all medical claim lines over April of 2019, while major depressive disorder claim lines increased 83.9%. Now, here's the thing, and this is the media just completely dishonesty. If this doesn't prove it, I don't know what else does. Texas opened up and went back to full open with no mask mandate this week, but so did Connecticut. Okay. Now the media blasted Texas. In fact, the illegitimate President Joe Biden was out there saying it's like Neanderthals going backward, right? And then somebody came up with a spoof. By the way, it was brilliant. They took the Geico commercial and they have Joe Biden saying the Neanderthal thing, and he stops, on the thing in the airport. Brilliant.
We should have. I mean, everybody should have figured this out like we did when Georgia was the first state to open.
That's right.
And we were told that COVID was going to explode through Georgia like you've never seen before. And on our radio show and on our podcast, we said, watch and see, folks. Watch and see the COVID numbers. And I said this will actually go down. Sure enough, over the next 2 to 3 weeks, guess what happens, right? I got an uncle who's a little bit left wing, and he goes, well, we're talking about this. They literally that day, would they open Georgia? And he said, wait till you see what's going to happen 3 weeks ago. I said, I'll bet you a beer that the numbers go down over the next week or two. He goes, well, the next week it might. That won't matter. It takes 2 weeks for COVID to go through the system. I said, okay, let's bet 2 to 3 weeks. Sure enough, I didn't hear a word from him because he knew damn well he was wrong, like the rest of them. And from that point on, nobody ever mentioned Georgia. Why? Well, because they opened up and the numbers were better.
That's right. Let me show you a couple more graphs on here. I'm hoping that Lily can take this out and put this up on the screen next to me. So I'm going to point up this way and hoping that it's there. I'll use this for right now, and I know you probably can't see this because I'm showing this here, but I'm going to try it right here. There's a couple of things on this COVID tracker, Mike. Number one is mask states versus no mask states. This is going back to December 1st of 2020 all the way through today. What you're going to notice is that the two lines are exactly on top of each other. There's no difference in mask versus not mask states, okay? In fact, for a time in early December, no mask states actually did better than non-no mask states, okay? Now, but here's more important. This graph here, this is from YouGov.com, a COVID tracking a deal, I guess. Mask usage versus daily positive tests. This is the most important chart right here, Mike, because what it shows is that early on, you got March 20th and then April 20th. By April 20th, for the most part, mask mandates had been put in place across the country, right? So you've got your reported mask usage, shoots all the way up and stays at a very high level of right between 80 to 90% or 70 to 80%. So mask usage shoots up in April and stays there the whole time, right? Mm-hmm. So when folks say, well, we don't have anything because masks are being worn, I'll draw your attention to the bottom of the chart that is actually the daily positive tests, okay? So as mask mandates shoot up and get to the 80% range, the initially very slightly do you see an ever slight decline in COVID cases, but then you see a jump. You see a jump in June or July, August. You had that summer spike, right? And that was...
How could that be, right? Because now we've got a pattern of wearing them.
Right.
This should go way down.
And it stays. And people are still wearing them at that high rate of 80%. But suddenly, you get to November 20th. Nobody, by the way, this little spike in August, this was Florida, Georgia, all the other states, that were saying, you know what, we can go ahead and open right now. You had a little bit of a spike. It was expected. It came back down.
Georgia went down, though. Georgia
came right back down. Yeah, well, it came right back. Everyone came back down by 9/20, 10/20. 11/20, November, December, we get this massive spike all the way through January of cases, not deaths, but cases, right? Mm-hmm. And then we get a decline again. But you'll notice from this chart, there's no change in mask usage. It's not as if mask usage dropped off and cases spiked. In fact, there's almost no correlation between mask usage and COVID positive cases. And the CDC just came out last week, Mike, and said best case scenario between 1% to 2% social distancing, lockdowns, and masks. 1% to 2%. Best case scenario.
Yeah, they came out at 1.5%, and they said this could be 1% off.
Right, exactly.
So it statistically was almost zero. But what you did do is divide the country, right? So it became a political statement, and it was political meaning my freedom. My body, my choice, right? It's okay for you to abort babies, but it's not okay for me to walk out of my house without my mask, right? My body, my choice. And then it destroyed a huge part of the service sector. I mean, people were saying, you look at the Buffalo Sabres. I'm a huge Sabres fan. Right now, they're not that good this year, and I've got season tickets. I didn't have to pay for them this year because they didn't let anybody in. Well, guess what? They called me 2 weeks ago, and they said, good news, Mike. We're going to let 1,700 people in. And I said,
1,700.
oh, good.
You turn the heat up because it'll be freezing.
Ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
I said, oh, good. I said, let me know when I don't have to wear a diaper because I go to the Sabres games to have a beer, to have a hot dog. I go there to relax, right? That's what I'm going to do. I'm not walking in with getting my COVID test and all that crap. So you let me know when you stop all that BS and I'll come back. But until then, I'm not giving you a penny, right? So, and then guess what? And by the way, I don't feel bad for the Pegulas. They're on the Cuomo team. They're the ones on this reopening committee. So you must like it. You must enjoy not having any fans there and selling them any beers. So that's your own problem.
No, the crappy thing is he doesn't need the money.
What I am pissed off about though is it's hurting a lot of these restaurants, all these venues, because many people are saying, look at. Who wants to go out to a restaurant and walk in with a diaper on your face and be escorted to I'd like to go out and meet people. That's what we did. Hey, look, hey, Glenn, Marcy, meet up for a beer. If you guys get there around 6-ish or whatever, if you're not there till 6:30, no problem. Maybe you're going to hang out and have a glass of wine, right? That can't happen if you got a diaper on your face.
How about the workers, though, Mike? I mean, you mentioned but how about the Delaware North workers? Like, here's the crappy thing, right? Jacobs is out there. Now he's a congressman, not for long, but now he's a congressman, right? Because they're going to axe his districts, not because he's going to lose, because they're going to just redistrict him right out, right? So he's gone.
The good news is the numbers are supporting that more conservatives are moving to places like Florida, which will lose representation in New York, and Florida will gain more.
Thank God. But Chris Jacobs, are they still paying their employees at Delaware North? No, right? Now he could. Chris Jacobs and the Jacobs family, they're billionaires, right? Billionaires with a B, right? They've got plenty of money. But
talking about wiping off, even if this whole crisis cost them $500 million or something, they could have easily paid everybody.
It's real easy. It's real easy when you're not the one being affected to say, we should stay closed, right? I got the money. The Pegulas got the money. They can stay closed, right? I mean, to be honest with you, Mike and Glenn can take a year off. We could stay closed if we wanted to. Now, I can't speak for all of our employees. If we stopped paying them, right? I'm sure they would probably suffer for that year. We would care. We would never do that because we would. In fact, when we went through the 2008 crisis, we didn't take a paycheck for 6 months, specifically so none of our employees did suffer. Can you say the same thing about Delaware North? No. Can you say the same thing about the Pegula organization? Are the Pegulas paying every one of their employees their full salary right now? I don't think so. Right? They should be. But they're not. Let me give you one more statistic,
the
Mike.
Pegulas could have paid all the vendors. They could have said, Delaware North, you're not paying them? We'll bring
pay them for you. Yeah,
no problem.
But they didn't, though. They didn't. So they can sit behind their ivory tower all day long in their mansions talking about, we should be closed, and we really need to make sure that we're safe before we open things. And, I hate that. You know why? Because you take the money out of your pocket and you support these people, right?
That's right.
Now, you might say, well, Glenn, you're anti-1.9 trillion stimulus. No. I want people to go back and get their jobs back. I want people to be able to work again. If you don't let them work, then you should pay them, not me. Right? Our employees are working.
They never do, though. They never do. We've talked about this forever, right?
Ever.
In California, a perfect example, some of the wealthiest people in the world that vote left-wing, vote liberal every single time, they could walk down to Tent City every day of their life and clean that up within half an hour.
How about Michael Moore? He's walking around, kill the 1%. He wasn't handing $100 bills. He was just inciting the mob. He could have. He's worth millions of dollars. All right,
millions and millions.
Millions and millions. All right, let's wrap this up. We'll finish with this, Mike, because this right here absolutely proves our point. And again, we have to go back and hire someone to do the chronological order of what we talked about. We talked about 9 months ago, we got to get to herd immunity. And then, of course, the smartest people in Washington came out and said, well, herd immunity is a myth. That doesn't actually exist. It actually does, right?
Well, it doesn't for them, though. It really doesn't.
Not for them. Not in their world.
They are hell-bent on everybody being controlled for the next 5 to 10 years.
That's right.
And forever. And we've said this forever. Until I was on so many committees you were trying to help restaurants in New York State. And I got to the point where I just said, you know what? Screw it.
Help yourself.
If you guys don't have the stones and women have the stones to open up, because I assure you, folks, from the bottom of my heart that if I had a restaurant, we would have been open the whole time. Mike, they would have taken my liquor license.
Who cares?
Screw you, I don't need your liquor license. I will walk down the street, I'll buy the Miller Lite for $1 at Consumers, and I'll sell it for $2. I would not have stopped. It would not have mattered what you've taken. I'm taking your permit to do business. Screw you, I don't need it.
Too bad.
Yeah.
Arrest me.
Oh, I'm going to lock your doors. Okay. I'm going to unlock them with my chainsaw, and I'm going to hire some security to defend my property. How about that?
Think about that. You have to fight to go to work. That guy in New Jersey, they went to his bank account, no due process, and confiscated his assets.
Now,
like
by
totally
the way,
illegal.
Some of you, by the way, and I'm going to say this, I know some of you are retired folks with federal pensions. God bless you. Many of you, however, and I've gotten in some fights with some, quote, teachers that have tier 1 pensions. Shame on you. $90,000 pensions. And you never once are reallocating your $90,000 pension. That $8,000 comes in a month. If you really want to, you really want to put your soul where your mouth is, you take the $8,000 every single month and you walk to a restaurant on the street and you say, here's my pension plan that the taxpayers, that you, Mr. and Mr. Restaurant owner, have paid for. I'm going to give it back to you. They don't do that.
No,
They're
never.
hiding with their mask. You should wear your mask. You should shut down.
They're
you
the
should shut
Karens.
the hell up, and
Yeah.
you should go give your money away if you really believe that. But they're not doing it.
They're the
not
Karens of
doing
the
it.
world.
Yeah.
So this is a chart, Mike. I'm going to put this up on the screen too. We'll end with this. This is the estimated share of the population with antibodies by state. This is as of March 3rd, 2021. This, again, being provided by the CDC.gov. According to the Mayo Clinic, this solid line right here is where we hit herd immunity. We are almost there in every state. Guess which 2 states or 3 states are already over into herd immunity? South Dakota and North Dakota are already there. South Dakota and North Dakota didn't destroy their economy. They didn't have a mask mandate. They didn't lock things down. Now, North Dakota and South Dakota are now seeing their economy destroyed because the Biden administration executive order of limiting federal drilling on federal lands has basically completely destroyed the oil and gas industry of North and South Dakota. So with a stroke of a pen,
Joe.
illegitimate President Joe basically destroyed but they're herd immunity. They're done. They're there. They've had no state mask mandate pretty much since the beginning. And lo and behold, wouldn't you know it?
Well,
Wouldn't you know it? Just
the
like
death's
Glenn and
gotta
Mike
be
said
way
9
higher,
months
though.
ago.
The death's got to be way higher.
No, they're actually lowest. I think
know.
at one point I think South Dakota's got like 600 deaths. That's it. That's
I
it.
know.
In
It's
fact, they got
amazing.
the lowest
It's
deaths in the
amazing.
country.
It's amazing. You couldn't, if
It couldn't be more wrong, Mike. They couldn't have been more wrong.
be more wrong. And we called it. We called it months
day
and
one.
months ago. From day one. Yeah.
We're still
All right.
calling it. And the thing is, we're still not open 100% in New York.
No,
How
no,
could
not
that
even
be?
close,
He's
right?
got the data. They've been wrong. Look at the data, folks. It's, follow the science. They don't hear him say follow the science, follow the facts anymore, do you? You don't hear him say that anymore. Como has not come out and said, follow the facts, follow the science. Where's my soundboard? Follow the facts.
Well, he's not even doing conferences anymore, press conferences anymore. He's hiding.
Oh, he's hiding for sure
He's
now.
taking the book out of. He saw what Joe Biden did.
Yeah,
it can work sometimes.
It can
We'll see.
work. Where's
All
my?
right.
It's the
Let's wrap
law
this
thing.
up. I got
All
another
right.
appointment I got to hit. So, do you got one more video you want to play?
No,
Did you say,
I'm
or
good. I'm
All
good.
right,
I wanted to play the media video, and that was it. So that I wanted to do this chart's the
All
key,
right.
right? One with this chart. So anyway, all right.
Are we off Saturday, Kels? Do you know?
We are. We're off Saturday.
We are. Mike,
We're
Mike
off for the
and
next
Mike
2
are on?
weeks. Mike
Wow,
and Mike
okay.
are on Saturday, and then Ryan, not Ryan, Cheezo Pete's. Carl and Russ are
cool.
on the following week. Yes. Anyway,
All
so
right.
that's
Well,
going to do it
gives us
for
a
it,
little break.
folks.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be back in a couple weeks on the radio. We'll be still doing the podcast, of course. If you're watching us on YouTube, we appreciate it. If you like what you saw, hit the bell, subscribe to our channel. You'll get notifications on every time we do a new video. If you are listening to this on a podcast, thank you again. Please hit the thumbs up or the like button and share it with your friends. We appreciate that. And of course, if you need us throughout the weeks, we are throughout the week. We are the Financial Guys. We do manage money for a living. You can always go to our website, thefinancialguys.com, and you can find all of the links to our social media and different things that we do there.
We should probably say thank you to Kelsey McCool and Kelsey Redman because they're here with us every single week and piloting this thing through and making sure it's done right. So
the production team, we appreciate it. So anyway, all right, thanks again for listening, folks, or watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple weeks on the radio show and next week here on the podcast. Thanks.